One of the truths about life right now is that all of us are struggling, but all of us are struggling in different ways. For me, the struggle is of not enough hours in the day between ministry and virtual kindergarten that happens in my living room and the ongoing work for racial justice in our community and our world, the ongoing political uncertainty and chaos. It's overwhelming. And I often spend my days churning through my to-do lists and caring for my little people from about 6 in the morning until 9 at night, which doesn't leave a lot of space for feeling a feeling or taking care of myself. But this week I put on my calendar I was going to feel for an hour. And I did. And that also was overwhelming. There are waves of grief and rage and sadness and fear. And in that moment, I realized that I had not been keeping up as much as I would like to with my spiritual practices. The prayer and meditation and stillness and movement that keep me grounded and whole and able to navigate what comes with some amount of grace and skill. Perhaps that's your story too, maybe not in those details, but in the realizing that you have come unmoored from the things that keep you moored in these days, in challenging times. And if that is your story, then this day is especially for you, because this is the day when we tell you about the wonderful mindfulness and meditation program that we are offering to people throughout the lifespan this year. So I know this is a time when it is hard to add just one more thing. And I encourage you to prioritize your spiritual well-being, your spiritual groundedness, your ability to meet the challenges with grace and skill and respond in ways that are rooted in your values. It is hard work, and it is some of the most important work that we can do. So I invite you to this time when we try to reconnect with who we most hope we are, where in community we call each other into being our best selves. So come, let us gather. Come, let us remember what we value and work to live out lives rooted in those values. Come, let us worship together. One of the truths about
My name is Sibel Shattuck, and I am a member of the Sunday Services Committee, and it is my privilege to welcome you to People's Church this morning. Our church community is centered in the Kalamazoo River watershed on the ancestral lands of the Potawatomi people. And it is an area that we share with a diverse community of humans, of wildlife, and of plants. At this time of year, of autumn, nature impinges on our awareness through our eyes as we see the golden light and the vivid color of the leaves. And I've never understood why some people call it a mere shoulder season between summer and winter, because autumn is glorious unto itself. The members of the community I particularly notice at this time of year are the squirrels, because they are so busy gathering up the bounty of walnuts and beech nuts and acorns, and they just don't have time for humans right now. So if you walk near them, they give you that look that says, why are you interfering? I don't have time to be afraid of you. I've got serious things to do. I think of People's Church as a place where we also gather up bounty to see us through colder times. We have a bounty of love and knowledge, but most of all, a bounty of support for each other. And we build it up during the good times so that when things get challenging, we're there for each other. And we have relationships with each other that see us through those times. So People's Church is a place where all are welcome, younger and older, families and individuals, those who find meaning in traditional faith traditions and those who seek truth elsewhere, in science, in music, and literature. Together, we support each other in our lives, in good times and bad, and also in our search for meaning and our quest to figure out how best to live into our values in our community. So welcome to People's Church and our virtual church gathering today.
Good morning from me. We're going to sing together. I'm having some internet issues, so I apologize if the video quality, if something happens to it. Anyway, I invite you to find a good singing position, a good position for breathing. And here we go. This is meditation.
As the chalice is lit, let us come together into the sacred space we have created. Let the cares of the day fall away, and know that here is a place for quiet reflection, for a pause in our lives, for breathing into our true selves. Let what is said and felt here add richness to the dimensions of our lives and spiritual practices. We are strong together in community. We share the experience of being human. Let the warmth of the chalice lit during our time together connect us and carry us into the world.
One of the phrases that I have learned from Diane Melvin over the past few years, one of the many things I have learned from her, is the phrase, I am noticing with curiosity and compassion. It's when something happens that makes me feel sad or angry or afraid or frustrated, I try to remember that phrase and notice with curiosity and compassion, to try to turn to wonder and recognize what I don't know in curiosity, and in compassion to lead with my heart forward and make my next best moves with my heart at the center. So we have a story today about someone who was very good at noticing with curiosity. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived with his son in a small village. They had one horse that they loved very much. One day, the horse ran away. As the word spread in the village, everyone said, "Oh, what a bad thing that has happened. We know you loved that horse so much, and now it is gone." And the man said, "I am sad that my horse is away, and I don't know yet if this is good or this is bad." And a few days later, the horse came back and brought with it a wild horse that came to live with the family. And as the word spread, everyone in the village said, "Oh, what a wonderful thing. What a good thing that's happened for you all. You have another horse." And the man said, "I am glad that my horse came back, but I don't yet know if having two horses is good or if it is bad." A short time after that, the man's son went out riding the new horse. And the new horse was frightened of something and reared back, and the boy fell off the horse, breaking both of his legs. He was carried back home and had to stay in bed for a long time to heal. And as the word spread in the village, everyone said, "Oh, what a bad thing that's happened. We're so sorry that your boy got hurt." And the man said, "I'm really sorry that my boy is hurting, but I don't yet know if this is good or if it is bad." A short time after that, a war broke out to the north, and all of the young people in the village were sent to fight, except for the man's son, who was still in bed with his broken legs. So many people had to say goodbye to people they loved as they went north. So many children and young people had to say goodbye to their parents and friends. And as people realized that the man's son was still there, they said, "Oh, what a good thing for your family. You are so lucky that your boy is still here." And the man said, "I'm really glad to have more days with my son. But, and I bet you know what's coming, I don't yet know if this is good or this is bad." And that is our story.
People's Church is a community that is generous, both in supporting the workings of the church and also in supporting the good works that other organizations within our community do. This week, our offering will be to support Lincoln Elementary School, a school with which we have had a relationship for many years as volunteers, as contributors to provide supplies to the students. So we're going to watch a short video, and while we're watching it and then during the offering, there will be a link posted if you would like to make a donation on behalf of People's Church to the Lincoln Elementary School.
Hello everyone, my name is Linda Mitchell and I am the principal of Lincoln International Study School. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Lincoln team and thank People's Church for all that you have done for our school. Thank you for your continued partnership. You are greatly appreciated.
Hello, People's Church. My name is Courtney Horn, and I am a kindergarten teacher at Lincoln International Study School. I have worked at Lincoln for, this is my 6th year. I am really happy to have been able to benefit from your donations in the past. I have been able to use People's Church donations for many things in my classroom. I have used it to purchase snacks, to feed my hungry babies so that we can continue learning in the afternoons. I have used it to supplement with materials we need for the classroom. Last year, I was able to use my People's Church donation to purchase 5 Amazon Fire tablets so that kids could use them to supplement their ELA practice during our station time. The donations that we get from People's Church help us in lots of ways when we're in the building, but I am certain that in these uncertain times, the People's Church donations will allow us to better support our families while we're doing our virtual learning until at least the end of November. We really appreciate all of you. Our families appreciate all of you. We are so lucky to partner with people who are so generous and kind-hearted, who see the value in education and know that teachers can't always foot the bill for everything. With the funding cuts and reallocation of monies, sometimes it's hard to get the things that we want. Sometimes it's even hard to get the things that we need. And with partners like you, we are able to do a little more, make things stretch a little more, and we really are super indebted and grateful for your kindness. Even though we aren't in the building right now, we still will be able to use those monies to help what we're doing from our homes. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, from my families, from our staff, we appreciate you and we appreciate your partnership. Thank you so much.
Good morning, People's Church. This is Miss Wright. I just want to say thank you so much for all that you have done for Lincoln. Your love, generosity, and prayers are much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, People's Church, for contributing to supplies for our classrooms. We appreciate you.
And a tremendous support for our Lincoln students and staff. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, People's Church, for all your donations. They are greatly appreciated.
Hello, my name is Joseph Burrell, and I'm the new Communities in Schools Site Coordinator for Lincoln International Studies Elementary School. You know, it's such an honor and privilege to be able to serve the students at Lincoln. And as you can see from our video presentation, all of your contributions are not going unappreciated. So from all of us at Lincoln, I would just like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to a wonderful relationship with you in the future. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Hello,
Join me in giving thanks for all that sustains us. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of love and life and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love, which none of us can accomplish alone.
Hello, I invite you to with me for a few moments. We'll begin by using Thich Nhat Hanh's words. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. And breathing out, my breath grows slow. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. And breathing out, I know that this is a wonderful moment. So I invite you to breathe with me for a moment. And one of the things that I'm going to invite you to do is to notice the pause at the top and the bottom of each breath. For example, when I breathe in, just notice if you can hold the top of that breath for 3 or 4 seconds and then breathe out. And then hold the bottom of that breath for 3 to 5 seconds. Let us breathe together like this. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful. And as we do that, I'm going to invite the singing bowl to join us as well. As we breathe in, we'll hold at the top and breathe out and hold at the bottom. The singing bowl, and I invite you to count the number of seconds before you can no longer hear its sound. I'm going to invite you to notice I'm bringing in my mindfulness jar today. It is full of sparkles and glitter. And I want you to imagine each one of your thoughts is like the glitter in this jar. And as I shake it up, sometimes that represents our thoughts when they're all jumbled and going really fast in our minds. And as we watch it settle, I invite you, as you breathe, with a little pause at the top and the bottom of each breath, to just invite your thoughts to settle as the glitter settles in the jar. water settles in the jar and our thoughts settle in our mind, and we notice that sacred pause at the top and the bottom of each breath. May this bring us more mindfulness of thoughts. May it give us the opportunity to have that sacred pause between when something occurs and how we respond to whatever it is that unfolds in our lives. May we take that moment and have that space between our thoughts, that breath, to skillfully choose our responses to life as it unfolds. May it be so, and blessed be.
This poem is called Taraxacum by the Reverend Teresa Soto.
Even though they are edible, someone decided that dandelions are weeds, stragglers to destroy, to uproot. But dandelions never got the memo, never thought to care. Busy instead with dropping roots, flinging seeds and unfurling shoots, and persistent in digging in that taproot to depths to 2 or 3 average adults end to end. The tiny yellow flower survives. You are no less resilient, reaching both down to the strength that holds you and up to the light, out with your beauty. And you know, having sunk your efforts into the cool, damp earth, that while dandelions can be clipped and fought, uninvested in anyone's opinion, they throw their sparkling futures onto the wind. Tomorrow, tucked into the seeds, and grow all the way back, strong and bowing at the very same time. Even though they are edible, someone decided that dandelions are weeds, stragglers to destroy.
A reading from Full Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn. Over the course of my own meditation practice and doing the work I do in the world, I have come to see the cultivation of mindfulness as a radical act of sanity, of self-compassion, and ultimately of love. As you will see, it involves a willingness to drop in on yourself, to live more in the present moment, to stop at times and simply be, rather than getting caught up in endless doing while forgetting who is doing all the doing and why. It has to do with not mistaking our thoughts for the truth of things and not being so susceptible to getting caught in emotional storms that so often only compound pain and suffering, our own and that of others. This approach to life is indeed a radical act of love on every level. And part of the beauty of it, as we shall see, is that you don't have to do anything other than to pay attention and stay awake and aware. These domains of being are already who and what you are. A Recipe for Resilience by Margaret Weiss. This recipe has been tweaked over time, so adjust as necessary. Sometimes it yields more servings than anticipated. Sometimes it needs a bit more of this ingredient or that. It comes from generations who have gone before me, and I've added my own flavor along the way. A Recipe for Resilience. 1 part courage, 2 parts tears of failure and doubt, 1 part deep listening, 1 part each of both silence and laughter, a dash of trust, a pinch of wonder, a heaping scoop of naps and snacks. In a separate bowl, mix together family, friends, and those who challenge you to be your best self, those with whom you disagree. Add slowly to the larger pot. Add a bay leaf for, well, whatever it is bay leaves do, and let simmer for as long as you need, which is often longer than you realize or anticipate. Keep the heat at an even temperature, hot enough to cook throughout, but not so hot it burns the bottom. Can be preserved at room temperature, warm, or even cold if necessary. Serve alongside your favorite soft blanket, dog, cat, or other soft item. Make often. Share with others. Hold on to the leftovers. You will need them after a long day that challenges your soul.
We've been gone for such a long time that I'm almost afraid to go home. A long road is a long, dragged out imagination where things can go wrong, but we keep rolling on.
When my friend posted that song of her daughter and her daughter's roommate singing that song last week, I felt I needed to share it with you today because it brought forth so much comfort and it felt so soothing to my heart. Especially with the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg last week. As I was grieving and mourning her passing and reading more about her, I became more and more inspired by the legacy that she left. She began as a student at Harvard Law School in 1956, and in a class of 500 students, she was one of only 9 women. She was a young mother to a toddler and a law student when her husband was diagnosed with cancer. While caring for Marty through his surgeries and radiation and caring for their daughter, she not only continued in law school, but also made sure that Marty passed his classes too. Ginsburg has said that after a day of her own classes, receiving notes from Marty's classmates for his classes, preparing dinner for the family, caring for a sick Marty, typing his senior paper, which he dictated to her, she would then return to her own coursework about 2 o'clock in the morning, rarely getting more than 3 hours of sleep a night. For many of us, any one of those challenges may have pushed us beyond our capacity to cope. The fact that Ruth Bader Ginsburg juggled all of those at the same time and remained at the top of her class shows tremendous resolve and resilience. While a survivor of a Nazi concentration camp, Viktor Frankl lost all of his family members in the Holocaust, except for one sister. After his ordeal, he wrote the classic book, Man's Search for Meaning. He exemplifies someone who endured unimaginable suffering and yet emerged stronger and more resilient from his ordeal. A minute glimpse into this survivor's mindset is had when considering this quote: "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Ginsburg and Frankl epitomize the essence of spiritual resilience and how they lived their lives and in the impact that they each had on the world. They provoke awe and inspiration in me as I ponder how they not only survived, but transformed and grew from the hardships that they endured. I'm fascinated how some people endure hardships and seem to become broken or embittered, and others seem to grow more courageous or develop more inner strength. I have had life circumstances that have broken me for a while until I managed to regroup and figure out what I needed to do to carry on. What's made the key difference for me in coping with adversity is the spiritual resilience that I've cultivated through my spiritual practices. Right now, we are in the midst of living in very hard times. There is an anxiety in the atmosphere today that is almost palpable. It is stoked by the fear of living in the midst of this pandemic, with now over 200,000 people in America dying from COVID and 984,000 in the world. This is exacerbated by the effects of climate change that are taking place in our world today, in our land, in our seas, by the enormous fires and the hurricanes. It is hard to bear witness to so much devastation and death and suffering and still get up and carry on every day. To add to the natural disasters, we're living in one of the most politically divisive times as we approach the upcoming election, and the stakes feel oh so high in so many ways. Black people continue to be killed, and the resultant social uprisings have increased exponentially this year. We are living in the midst of enormous upheaval and change. Any single one of these things alone can be stressful. But being swept up in a wave of all of these influences tearing apart the fabric of our society at the same time is overwhelming. Of course, much of this change is sorely needed, and I really hope that the social uprisings produce some long-term changes that really need to happen. And still, we are in the midst of difficult times. How do we best cope with the changes and these challenges so that we can minimize our suffering? How do we manage our own fear, stress, and anxiety so as to model for our children and our grandchildren how to skillfully navigate such times? Kids learn far more from watching what we do than they do from what we say. How do we help our kids cope with these difficult times so that they can build their own sense of resilience rather than becoming traumatized? I deeply appreciate Frankl's perspective when he says, we are no longer able to change a situation. When we can't change it, we are challenged to change ourselves. Cultivating spiritual resilience can help us rise to the challenges we face with even more fortitude and grace. Increased resilience helps us expand our capacity to be adaptable and flexible. And living in the midst of this pandemic, increased flexibility to respond to change and uncertainty is especially appreciated. One of the ways that we can cultivate more spiritual resilience is to surround ourselves with a supportive spiritual community. We are fortunate to have this community of people with whom to gather, even virtually, where we can find connection and support. Another way we can cultivate more spiritual resilience is to engage in consistent spiritual practices, especially during times of adversity. This can include anything we do regularly with the purpose of cultivating spiritual development, gaining some grounding. Spiritual practices can bring us more home to ourselves, as well as connect us with something larger than ourselves. These practices can make up the foundation upon which we can stand and depend, especially when the winds of life are blowing chaotically around and through us. As a religious community of seekers, as Unitarian Universalists, we come together around shared values more than around religious beliefs or practices. And yet many spiritual practices transcend any beliefs or lack thereof. Spiritual practices can include anything from music and self-reflection to walking in nature. Some of you may have a regular gratitude practice or a morning time for devotions or meditation. Others of you may practice yoga or Tai Chi or dance or some other type of movement practice. It really doesn't matter the nature of the practice. The important thing is that you practice it as consistently as possible. And of course, that it works for you. Two of my regular spiritual practices are practicing mindfulness and meditation. My life was honestly transformed for the better once I began consistently meditating. I definitely feel an enormous increase in my spiritual resilience as a result of these practices. Mindfulness is simply being aware in the present moment with curiosity and compassion. As Rachel said earlier, when things happen, I always try to reframe it and notice with curiosity and compassion. I notice when I am being mindful, my heart is more open, my perspective is definitely broader. I feel more peaceful and grounded within myself. My aspiration is to increase the number of moments that I am fully mindfully present, because then I am not ruminating about my regrets from the past. I am not worrying about my fear and anxiety of the future. Instead, I am completely engaged in the present moment. Meditation can mean many things, but the bottom line is simply being aware of your thoughts as you are thinking them, your feelings as you are feeling them, and the sensations in your body as they arise. In meditation, we invite our minds and our bodies to settle, inviting a deeper presence and a deeper awareness. Sometimes in meditation, I invite my mind to settle, and it does, and sometimes it doesn't. All of that is still meditating. As with mindfulness, it is simply being aware of what is true for us without judgment. However our minds and our bodies feel, or whatever we experience, simply is what it is. And then we just invite ourselves to notice those thoughts and feelings, or whatever arises, with curiosity and with compassion. When I'm sitting in meditation, I try to notice what I'm feeling in my heart and in my body. And when discomfort is there and it arises with me, I try to notice that as tenderly as I can and with acceptance. When I'm able to do that and move through the resistance to shut it out, I notice that it often settles in me and it usually moves and often moves through me. After 20 or 30 minutes of meditation, most mornings I feel calmer, centered, more grounded, and filled with more clarity. I notice a huge difference in the days when I begin my day with meditation and those when I don't. I'm generally able to respond to life more skillfully, with more flexibility and more wisdom. I'm definitely getting better at responding to challenges when they arise. A couple of weeks ago, I parked in the very back corner of a parking lot on a restaurant off of West Main so that I could get just a little bit of shade for my dog. And when I went to back out of my parking spot, I did not notice the swinging gate until I backed into it and it got completely stuck to the gas cap on my car. So every time I tried to go forward or back, I could hear the side of my car crinkling in until I could finally release it to untangle the gate from the side of my car. Now, there are times in the past when I may have melted down in complete overwhelm with the unfortunate circumstances of that moment. But instead, this time, I managed to cringe knowing that it was going to be expensive and inconvenient, but not the end of the world. That day, I managed to keep it in perspective, take a deep breath, drive back to church, and carry on with my day with some semblance of dignity and grace and my crumpled side of my car. The bottom line is that bad things happen. Things break. Life is hard. And the only thing certain in life is change. That is simply reality. I firmly believe that it is not what happens to us that determines the nature of our lives. Rather, it is how skillfully we respond to life's circumstances. Viktor Frankl is also known for saying, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our responses. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. I really try to make the most of that space, to create that sacred pause between what happens and how I respond to it, so that I can choose to respond more skillfully and wisely to life's circumstances, no matter how it unfolds. This way, I can try to contribute to more healing and positivity in the world rather than contribute more suffering. We are living in such difficult times right now. The combination of all the events that are occurring in the world and these circumstances have caused so many of us to experience so many sacrifices and so much loss. And the fact that it is unsafe for our children to go to school and to play with each other is causing tremendous suffering for so many people. When we can't change life's circumstances, we are challenged to change ourselves. For me, my mindfulness and meditation practice is key in being able to do that, to choose more skillfully as often as I can. And because I aspire to minimize the suffering that so many of us are experiencing during these times, I am excited to offer mindfulness and meditation classes for all ages at People's Church this year. Our upcoming launch of our RE lifespan program offers something for everyone. We have weekly opportunities for spiritual growth and learning for preschool age kids through adults. By learning to practice mindfulness and meditation together, I hope that building this community and learning these tools can offer all of us some relief. By learning and implementing healthy coping skills and different perspectives, I hope we can minimize all of our own pain and suffering. Due to the pandemic, our classes will occur on Zoom each week, and we're also making videos for our elementary kids in addition to their Zoom classes. The adult Zoom classes begin on Sunday, October 11th at 1 o'clock, and the children's classes will take place on Sunday mornings before our church service, beginning October 18th. And the high school and middle school Zoom will take place at 8 o'clock on Sunday evenings. Everyone is encouraged and invited to join us on this valuable journey of religious growth and learning, support, and connection each week. I am elated that Gwen Abney Cunningham and Marty Peter Sparling have agreed to teach the adult class with me, as they are both experienced practitioners and facilitators of mindfulness and meditation. And they'll bring a wealth of experience and perspectives to share. And we're still seeking a few more folks to help lead our children's classes. So you're welcome to let me know if you're interested in that. In addition to learning and practicing the basics of mindfulness and meditation, the activities and the discussions are designed to help us open up our ways of seeing and understanding the world, why things happen, what our role in the world is. When I learned this material years ago, I remember feeling like a veil was literally removed from my eyes that I didn't even realize was there. As I began to practice consistently, I definitely felt as though I could see clearer and respond with more wisdom and skill. As Unitarian Universalists, we are committed to building the beloved community. A consistent commitment to spiritual practice is one fundamental way that we can contribute to the healing of this broken world. Spiritual practice and religious community support, they support us in being our best selves. And that's when we can contribute the best of what we have to work towards the transformation of this world. I hope that you will join me this year as we embark on this journey of cultivating spiritual resilience together. My hope is that this journey will bring more peace to our hearts and to our households, ultimately helping us to work better together to create the beloved community that we desire. One with more peace, one with more justice, and more love. May it be so.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
As our time together today comes to a close, may we remember to do the things that fortify us, to engage in the spiritual practice that nourish and comfort our souls. As we work to build the beloved community, may we remember to take exquisite care of ourselves during these anxious times, for only then are we best able to shine forth our love out into this world. May it be so. Blessed be.